And those were probably the longest hours of my life. But if she left only because she couldn't get herself to accept my help, then that is what I call wounded femininity. I want you to learn that feeling masculine is very important to men. والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. Oh Allah, teach us what would benefit us and help us benefit from what we learn and increase us in knowledge. Ameen. First of all, I am Umar, a marriage and parenting coach, and I welcome you all to my channel Al-Qawarir, meaning the delicate vessels, a beautiful name given to women by Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. By the way, don't forget to say Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam when he is being talked about. Today, we will talk about skills that every woman needs to master. But you will walk away with so much more than just skills, bi'idhnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will walk away with a deeper understanding on which part of you are wounded as a woman that need healing. Let me tell you a quick story. The last time I went to the toddler playgroup, it's an amazing session to be in. They provided a variety of activities for kids to engage in and to grow, to learn, to explore. And while I was there with my 3-year-old, who is mashallah very independent, so it requires less monitoring, I saw a mother walking and juggling a 2-year-old and a 4-month-old. Now, she wanted to keep her 4-month-old in the stroller inside the activity room. But she wasn't allowed to do that because the room wasn't as spacious. It didn't have enough space for the toddlers and the stroller. So then, with a 4-month-old in her arm, she was struggling to engage with her 2-year-old, who was running around doing different activities like eating the chalk and spilling water on the floor. And I was there as well watching all of this. And what I saw, I knew that lady needed my help. So I started talking to the mother. Then I offered to help her. However, she immediately turned my offer down with a beautiful smile. But I saw that she couldn't stay long. And she put both her kids in the stroller and left the amazing play session designed specifically for toddlers. Like, she missed out on all of that. Now, Allah knows why she actually left. Maybe something urgent came up. I don't know. But if she left only because she couldn't get herself to accept my help, then that is what I call wounded femininity. Growing up, many women face some blows to their femininity that make them adopt some masculine traits to survive in society, like being hyper-independent or prioritizing efficiency or taking charge or competitiveness, etc. And the same thing happens to men as well, by the way. They develop wounded masculinity. But this session, we are going to be specifically focusing on ladies because I'm addressing ladies and our primary focus is ladies on this channel. So, what happens if a woman starts living with masculine energy? What happens if a woman starts living with masculine energy? What's the big deal? Why the focus on developing feminine energy? Well, the thing is, her body's not made for that. It doesn't serve her well in life. Because being in masculine energy is tiring for you as a woman, for how Allah created you, how Allah made your body. And if your lifestyle is a go, pressure, independence, struggle, your body starts producing high levels of cortisol. And it puts a strain on the spousal relationship. And it doesn't go well with how you're meant to function as a woman. So you might see weight gain that won't go away no matter how much you diet. You might see sugar cravings, feeling on edge all the time, feeling disconnected from joy, softness, and creativity, feeling overly critical, hair thinning, acne, dull skin, fast aging. And it's no wonder that getting back to femininity actually makes you look more beautiful. It starts changing the way you look if you start healing from inside out. Does that make sense, ladies? Today, bi'idhnillah, we will talk about some essential feminine skills to have with real-life examples of what happens if you don't have those skills. Now, to understand more about basics of femininity and masculinity, watch these videos from my channel. I will link them in the description, inshallah. And I specifically love the raise videos because, first of all, it gave me an opportunity to spend more time with Quran and Sunnah. And I really enjoyed finding these innate differences in Quran and Sunnah. It was amazing, like mind-blowing to me. And also because the root of the problem starts in the childhood. When we don't understand the innate differences of masculinity and femininity, we raise adults who have wounded masculinity and wounded femininity. You see, here lies the biggest problem. If a woman grows up with a high masculinity, guess what type of men she attracts? Guess. She's definitely not going to attract men with high masculinity. She is going to attract men with wounded masculinity, with more femininity. And there's no wonder that you have husbands who don't want to take the lead, who don't want to provide, who are irresponsible, but entitled. Isn't that a disaster? Ladies who grow up with wounded femininity will often have these symptoms. They often have a poor self-image, have less confidence, no self-respect or proper boundaries. And if you're finding yourself having any of those issues, don't worry, inshallah. We're going to fix them. These are all fixable. Don't worry about it. Women with wounded femininity will try to seek approval of men because they often have this big hole in their heart, the emotional deprivation, the gap that they keep trying to fill, especially by the approval of men, because that makes them feel worthy. So that makes it very hard for them to stay away from haram relationships if they're not married. And if they are married, then they might be prone to still chatting men online or seeking affairs. La qadrallah. Women with wounded femininity often overshare about their lives. And the feeling of unworthiness makes them give much more than what they receive. So they give, and we will talk more about what that does to them. They feel guilty to receive. They form unhealthy attachments to people, often to the point of the disease where they can't go without them for a few days, and if they didn't hear anything from them, they start feeling physical symptoms. And obviously, I'm talking about extremes, but it's not like a black and white and all or none, but it could be anywhere in the spectrum. So as a result, those type of ladies live a miserable life because they don't get the love, the friendship, the opportunities they're looking for. And me, personally, I have experienced life as both, like life with wounded femininity and with a healthier femininity. And when I worked on my femininity, life became so much better, calmer, alhamdulillah. Because when you work on your femininity, you'd find that people are eager to help you. Because you are receiving the help you are asking for, you're receiving it. You're not feeling too guilty about it. They will invite you to places because you're going to be pleasant to be around. They'll treat you differently, the way you've always wanted to be treated. Ladies, is it okay to have a tiny bit of masculinity as a woman or not? Can there be like a fraction of masculinity in us as women, or should there be no masculinity whatsoever? Now, it would be easier to think about it in the terms of hormone. The hormones responsible for masculine traits is called testosterone. Do women have it as well or not? Yes, they do. As a female, you should have about 80% femininity and only 20% masculinity. And inshallah, we're going to talk about exactly what to use that 20% of masculinity in the coming slides. Right. So 80% femininity and 20% of masculinity. Now let's see some skills that healthy feminine ladies would have. And then we would see how these skills will get distorted and what a wounded femininity would do in that place. So the first skill we're going to talk about is receptivity. First skill is receptivity. The whole basis of a man and a woman's relationship is based on man giving and the woman receiving. You know, that's what Allah says in the Quran. وَبِمَا أَنفَقُوا مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ. For men, they're given the responsibility to spend, to take care, to give, to provide. And him, like what they spend from their money. So this is the base of our relationship with the man, is that him giving and us receiving. The more he gives, the more fulfilled he feels. He provides the essentials, the groceries, the medicine, and doing that makes him feel very masculine. Gives him a great sense of purpose and meaning. And he feels that his contribution is huge. And a lady with healthy femininity is able to receive with contentment and gratitude. She doesn't receive with guilt. She receives everything, not just money. She receives compliments without brushing them away. So somebody says that your dress is beautiful. She wouldn't tell them, oh no, I got it for $2 from that place. No. Why? That's not receiving the compliments. So don't brush the compliments away. Just with a smile, say thank you. A lady is saying, but what about when you get a compliment and saying, I know as a response, like you already know and you're not looking for someone to notice or validate that about you? I would say that is okay. I could see it happening in a playful way where you give someone a compliment, they're like, yeah, I know. That would be fine. But it could come across as being a bit arrogant and not receptive. So receiving a compliment, the best way to do it is with a smile and saying thank you or jazakallah khair. So women with healthy femininity would have no problem receiving compliments, receiving help, and receiving advices, receiving support, everything. She feels happy to receive, and the more she receives, the happier and feminine she feels. But wounded femininity will try their best to give more than what she takes. Taking makes her feel guilty. And ladies, where does this feeling of guilt come from? Where does the feeling of guilt come from? The feeling of guilt comes from her feeling of unworthiness. She doesn't feel she's worthy to take that much. She's not worth it. But then that ties into self-respect or self-image. Feeling of worthiness. Now, ladies, tell me one thing. When a woman who is supposed to receive, but she keeps giving so much in her marriage, like gives everything, compliments, day and night, compliments, day and night, the house is spotless, day and night, taking care of his needs, giving him gifts. So when she keeps giving rather than receiving, when she keeps giving and giving, what does that force her husband to do? If a woman keeps giving, what does that force her husband to do? It forces him to keep receiving, which is a very feminine state to be in. So, what does the husband start feeling then? Would he feel feminine or would he feel masculine if he keeps receiving the whole time? Barakallahu fikum. Now, ladies, I want you to learn that feeling masculine is very important to men. When you force him to keep receiving and he will not feel that masculine, then he will seek that masculinity somewhere else. Men do the impossible to feel masculine. A lady I know who takes care of everything inside and outside the house, the typical giving type. Her husband didn't take another wife to feel more masculine or have an affair to feel more masculine, but he took another route. He started indulging in extremely dangerous lifestyle, putting himself in a harm's way just to feel masculine. Just to feel masculine. Other ways men use to feel masculine is indulging themselves in the world of games or tournaments, matches, football match, cricket match, whatever. So if they can't be masculine in the real world, they escape in this imaginary world where they are the heroes. Ladies, don't think that I'm advocating for women to not give. They should give. There's nothing wrong with that. But there are different types of giving. There is a giving that stems from nurturing. And then there's a giving that stems from the sense of responsibility, the sense of needing to do too much. So those are different things. And whenever you are in a relationship with a man, then giving is a whole different meaning. Then it is really attached to masculine and feminine poles. So then you have to be very careful. But when you're with your neighbors, give, that's fine. With your sisters, give. Give is fine. As a woman, between women, among women, give as much as you like for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when you are dealing with a man, make sure that he is the one who's giving more. So the balance is not like 50-50, no. He gives and then you give, he gives and then, no. It should be way more tipping to like him giving 70% of the time and you giving 30. That should be the balance. He would feel really contributing and more masculine. What to do if there is no female righteous companion to make a role model of in our environment? I think by watching scholars' videos, I am adopting their way of speaking or bold. Barakallah fi, that is definitely a thing, that the absence of female role models who are feminine. But then the first thing that what you're doing, sister, what you're doing is great, is to attend these sessions and to be more aware. Awareness is the first step. And then inshallah, when you see, like through examples, that's why I'm trying my best to give you real life examples so you can relate and see how it works in real life. Now, ladies, in which relationship it is perfectly fine and expect for a woman to give without expecting anything in return? Which relationship is that? It is not a husband and wife relationship. Rather, it is a mother and child relationship. A mother and child relationship. Therefore, if a woman starts giving a lot more in her relationship with her husband, then their dynamic doesn't become husband-wife dynamic, rather a mother and child dynamic, where husband feels like a child and the wife feels nurturing like a mother, and then men in that relationship feel pampered and taken care of, but not masculine. So he starts looking for a wife elsewhere to be able to give and feel masculine. So ladies with wounded femininity make her husband feel less important. So then the husband starts becoming less involved and start getting more involved other places. I created a poll in my community and it sparked quite an interesting discussion in our Qawarir group. And the poll was, is spousal love unconditional? Now, 17% of ladies said yes, and 83% of them said no, which is very good. But if most of you understand that spousal relationship is not unconditional, it is conditional. And if it was not conditional, then there would be no divorce, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put divorce in place is solely because the spousal relationship is conditional. But the relationship of a mother and child, that's the relationship in love is truly unconditional. And it should be unconditional. Spousal love is not unconditional. It is conditional upon how he treats you, upon how he does not violate your boundaries. So there needs to be boundaries in spousal relationship. And there needs to be accountability and that kind of thing. Now, ladies, we've talked about how if a man is giving, it's a very good idea to receive graciously. But what if the man is not giving? What if a man is not giving and you need something from him? Then a wounded female would never ask. She would say, ugh, I can't do that. I've got so much self-respect. I cannot ask. It's much better that I start working and earning than asking. That's not a healthy feminine attitude. Because a healthy feminine female would have a high self-esteem and she would feel deserving and worthy to be given things that she needs. She knows her place as a woman, so she has no problem asking. She can ask her husband for money. She can ask her neighbors for help when needed. when she has no problem receiving, she'll see that people around her are happy to give. And especially with your husband, men are clear and straightforward. A silent woman who's not asking for things would signal to them that she's happy and content. She doesn't need anything, because men would always ask when they need something. So if you're not asking, that means you don't need it. They will not give you. And then women are like, ugh, how is he so oblivious? How is he doesn't care for my needs? Well, you ask. Because asking is also tied into receptivity. So this is two skills, but we're going to tie it into one. And the skills is to be able to ask and to be able to receive. So that is number one skill. And the number two skill that women need to master is the stillness. Perhaps it would be more clear if you think about it in terms of masculine energy and feminine energy. So masculine energy is struggle. Masculine energy is hustle. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Quran, وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ يَسْعَى. Rajul, male. What was he doing? Striving. So masculinity is rajul. Even the word rajul in Arabic, it means to be walking. Rajul yas'a. So masculinity, the masculine energy is that of strive, of pursuing, of effort, of struggle. That's where men find happiness. That's why men love challenges. You see boys playing together, they always have an element of challenge in it, competitiveness, struggle. That's why men love games, tournament, football matches, because it stresses them out. It gives them like this burst of stress and struggle that they love, and they enjoy it. But this is not what a woman is made for. Like, female body is different, and that kind of stress, like it tires her out. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Quran, now see what lessons you can derive for feminine energy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. That He created for you, from yourselves, wives, so that you may find tranquility in them. Second is tranquility, peace, calm, stillness, comfort. So feminine energy is more of stillness, more of comfort, more of peace. She likes collaborative games. She doesn't like high competitive games. If you have a wounded femininity, then you would see that the competitiveness in you is very high. Everywhere you go, you like to compete. You feel like you're in a competition with everybody around you, with neighbors, with everybody. The high strive and the enjoying of struggle to put yourself in situations where you struggle. That is wounded femininity. Because the healthy femininity would be to enjoy the stability, enjoy the calmness, the stillness, enjoy the home environment. Imagine you are traveling with a man in your car, be it your father, your husband, or your brother. You are with them in a car. And all of a sudden, the car tire starts malfunctioning. There's a problem with the tire. The healthy masculinity would be that the man would jump out of the car quickly. And the man would start analyzing, exploring, solving the problems, seeing what to do, who to call. And this kind of thing energizes men. And a healthy feminine lady would let him do that. But if your femininity is wounded, you won't be still in that situation. Rather, you would start offering solutions. Oh, why don't you do that? Or let's do this. Or let's try that. As a sign of wounded femininity. Let him do his thing. You should just have femininity, have stillness in you. Trust him to be able to figure this out, to find his way. And you know what is even worse than offering solutions? Is if the woman then gets out of the car and starts analyzing the situation. as well. Well, so much masculine energy. So the masculine and feminine energy is opposite. A healthy female would let a man be more masculine. And a wounded femininity would emasculate a man. Is that clear? A lady said, I wish my husband give me money, pocket money, and I never ask. Because my husband is doing all other responsibility like taking groceries and stuff. So sister, I would like to tell you, there's no shame in asking. And in my channel, I specifically do have a video on pocket money or how to ask for it and what it does for a woman. So do check that out, inshallah. It will give you more tips, inshallah. Another sister said, if we ask quite often, will that not be counted as nagging? Sister, there is a way of asking. There is a way to ask without nagging. For that as well, we do have a nagging video in our channel. Please do check that out, inshallah, for more in depth on that. All right, the next skill we have is a feminine intuition and gut feeling. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made a woman's body very sensitive. Many times her subconscious picks up things that her mind or her brain doesn't know yet. She doesn't consciously know yet. But her subconscious mind picks it up because Allah made her sensitive like that. And this is what often is referred to as like gut feeling. Even if you see videos on YouTube, you might find that women show intuition in real time where a woman is going to her car at night and all of a sudden she turns around with her keys between her two fingers because she felt something. And as soon as she turned, there was a guy who was coming to grab her. So she just jammed the keys in his neck. So that was a gut feeling, like the last minute save that happened because she listened to her gut feeling. I used to believe I had no gut feeling, but every woman has it. So one night, I suddenly woke up around 3 a.m., which is not usual for me, felt really unusual. And I had this urge to quickly go downstairs and look at my doors. And subhanAllah, I found that the door was open. I quickly locked it, subhanAllah. It never happened before. How did that happen? So dangerous. And then I went to the garden door and that was open too. Anyway, alhamdulillah, I had my husband come and check the whole house. Nobody was inside. But it was my gut feeling to have woken up at night to feel that there is something wrong here, that something needs to be done, like the sense of urgency, sense of the feeling that something is there. But if you have wounded femininity, you would just ignore that feeling. As a matter of fact, I didn't even think of it as a gut feeling. I just, okay, it was accidentally I found this and that. I didn't link it to the gut feeling, but actually it was the gut feeling. So if you just really think about it and you start noticing, you would find that you have gut feelings as well. If you have a wounded femininity, you will not be aware of any of your gut feelings. As a matter of fact, you would generally not be very in touch with your inner feelings anyway. For example, if a proposal comes to you, for example, if you have a wounded femininity, even if you feel that something is off, you would ignore it. You decide to go ahead with it because it seems good on the paper. And then later on you discover that was a wrong decision for you. So a healthy femininity is a woman who is present in the moment, is not absorbed in herself or completely unaware of the surroundings. So it's very important to be aware of your gut feeling. A healthy femininity would be a woman who would walk somewhere, someplace, a mall, a park, wherever. She would be aware of her surroundings. She would know where the exits are. Because this is how Allah made women. They need to be a little bit more aware, in touch with their feeling, in touch with how they feel about the environment, about how they feel about certain people, general vibe over here, like in a park. If I bring my kids in and I am scanning the area to see how I feel about it and how I feel about the people present there. If I feel uneasy, I'm taking my kids and I'm walking away, not staying there. But if you are too absorbed in yourself, in your own world, in your thoughts, in your phone, you're completely unaware of your surroundings, then you might you might subject yourself to unnecessary harm. Right. So intuition and gut feeling. Another skill is privacy and depth. You see, men are clear. Women like them to be like that. That makes them feel secure, stable. Men are straightforward. However, even though men are themselves straightforward and women like them to be straightforward, women are not that straightforward. They have privacy, they have depth, they have mystery, and men like them to be like that because it gives them clues, a game to piece the pieces here and there and figure out the woman in front of them. They enjoy that process. Every so often, they're getting to discover new things about that lady, about that woman. And they love that. They love the change. They love finding new things, new discoveries. So this is how Allah made them. So then a woman with a wounded femininity will say, oh, I am very clear. What's inside me is outside. I am an open book. I don't hide anything. I'll say everything. And you would find her like oversharing and talking with her husband. That is that is not right, to be oversharing with your husband. That would make you feel very flat. No excitement there. All same or boring. A woman with a healthy femininity would have a healthy sense of privacy. And that privacy gives her depth because she has her life, she has her passions, she has the secrets with her family, she has secrets with her neighbors. She's not going to share those. That gives her depth. That adds mystery in the relationship, the attraction, her passion, her interest, her own inner life. These keep her interesting. Biggest mistake women often make is after they get married, they think that now they're retired from life. They're retired. Their only purpose in life is to be a wife, to be doing nothing, just being home and not having a life of your own. She takes all her attention that was supposed to be divided between 10 other things, and she focuses it all on her husband. When did he wake up? When did he sleep? Where did he come? Where did he go? Why was he 10 minutes late? Why was he 5 minutes late? So now she's obsessing over every single detail of her husband. And he starts feeling suffocated. Your husband should be a part of your life and not your whole life. If a woman starts nurturing her inner world, her hobbies, her goals, her relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, her creative side, she becomes naturally more magnetic and more attractive. The next skill women need to master is being supportive and reactive. And now, supportive as opposed to being the leader. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Quran, الرجال قوامون على النساء. The men are the qawam, the leaders of women. So Allah gave them the lead. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave men the lead, and Allah gave women the supportive role. Why? Because this is what's more suitable with their bodies. This is what's going to bring them the most peace, calm, and enjoyment in life. So then, as a rule, initiating things should be from men, and especially in marriage scenarios. He's the one who seeks woman. He's the one who seeks a wife. He needs to take the lead. If woman is the one who's pursuing a man for marriage, a man might say, okay, marriage might happen, but man is never going to value and cherish her if he would have been the one to seek her. Just think of flower and a honeybee example. The flower never goes to honeybee. Honeybee is the one who's going to strive to come to the flower. You, as a healthy feminine lady, you are the flower. You attract. You don't take the lead. Now, as a different scenario, if you're, for example, on a marriage website and your father is the one who is seeking out that man, that's fine. Between men is fine. But even with you, for example, even after nikah, He should be the one striving to get your contact details, to get in touch with you first. He should be the first one to message you. He should seem more involved, more than you. Let me just give you my examples. After my nikah happened, there was some time delay between my nikah and my marriage. So naturally, my husband wanted to know more about me. So what he did is that he asked my father for my phone number, which is how it should be. I didn't volunteer it, even though the nikah happened and the whole thing, like we sat together and talked a bit. I never volunteered it. And he asked my father for it, and my father allowed it, and my father gave it to him. And then I knew that, but then the time between my father giving the phone number till like maybe after 24 hours that when he contacted me the first time. And those were probably the longest hours of my life, because I couldn't wait to talk to him. Women are like that, subhanAllah. But I knew my role is to not take the lead. If I take the lead now, I would be the one taking the lead forever in my life. In everything, in every scenario, I'd be the one expected to initiate, to take the lead, and I didn't want that for myself. I know that is not a good role for me as a woman. Like, I don't want that for myself. I want it to be feminine. My husband didn't message me all this time only because he wanted to get it right. He wanted to get the wordings right, the timings right. He was obsessing over every detail. And I waited, and he did message. Alhamdulillah, it was amazing. So this is how it should be. Because don't take away the pleasure of chasing, of planning. The planning that goes into it, and the chasing, and he will cherish you more for it. If you look at the hunting scenario, would a man feel more proud to capture an injured animal or a very fast, beautiful gazelle, deer? Obviously, he will feel more accomplished with the deer, so you cherish it more. And many women can't wait to initiate and take the lead because they are more driven with their emotions. So they approach marriage with emotion. They want to give so much. So they would be sending messages and selfies and images. So there's no chase in that. Let him ask for an image. And be careful what you share out online. Make sure that it's modest. So let him initiate with you. Don't bother him when he's at work. Don't keep messaging him at work, because that is not very attractive. On top of that, the biggest problem, on top of you initiating everything, the questioning. Oh, why didn't you message me the first thing in the morning? Or, I sent you 10 messages and you only sent one in response. This is very unattractive and not feminine. So what should happen is his 5 messages and your 1. That's how it should go. I mean, I'm not saying to not respond to him. This is what I mean by reactive. So your energy is reactive, not leading. It's reactive. So he contacts you, and you're happy to hear from him. You're not ignoring him. You're not pretending, oh, you don't care. No. You're very happy to receive from him. You're very happy to receive that message and you respond very happily. But if he's absent, if he's not responding, then you don't keep sending him messages, because he knows where to find you. In the first argument after your marriage, the woman with wounded femininity, even when she was wronged, would quickly try to solve the problem. Okay, let's talk about it. Okay, what bothered you? And she would try to make him happy and try to establish the connection again. She doesn't give the man the time and the space to think, reflect, and apologize. Men need that time. But then what happens is, if the woman is the one taking the lead, she's the one initiating, what does that do to their dynamics in the marriage? It makes your man lazy. Okay, everything is taken care of. Whenever I mess up, she's going to come and try to fix it. So why do I bother? Like, why do I even try to fix it? My wife is going to do it. She's going to come and she's going to apologize, or she's going to try to talk, she's going to initiate, or whatever. So then you establish very tiring routine for your marriage. You can heal it all, inshallah, one step at a time. First step is recognize the elements in you, the elements that need changing, and then slowly working on them Another skill that we need to be working on is flexibility. But before we dive into flexibility, let me see some of your comments. Ukhti, what to do if the father is deviant? In order to convey the haqq, one needs to say boldly and command righteousness. Is this exception to femininity? All right, to say boldly, what do you mean say boldly? If you mean say rudely, then no. If you say confidently but gently, then that is the right thing. And the biggest example is the example of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, of how he spoke to his father, who was a deviant. My sister said, I had this feeling when I was in a taxi alone about the driver not being safe. I made an excuse and got out. Alhamdulillah. Barakallahu fiki. That is wonderful, that you listen to your gut feeling. However, please don't travel alone in a taxi without a mahram. Make sure that if you're traveling in a taxi, that you do it with a mahram. May Allah make it possible for you, inshallah. Right. So now we're going to dive into flexibility. Now, ladies, it is a sunnah of haya, sunnatul haya, the way of life, that a woman would leave her house, the one she grew up in, and go live with a strange man, perhaps in a strange environment that she knows nothing about, among people that she doesn't know, who are going to be her new family or her in-laws. And for this new living arrangement to be successful, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave her a big level of flexibility. Men aren't that flexible. Men are not that flexible. They don't change much. Many women keep trying to change their husbands. Generally, he would be the same person after 10, 20, or 30 years from now. So generally, men don't really change. They're not that flexible. They're kind of set in their ways. But a person with healthy femininity would love to change her makeup, hairstyle, home decor, new dishes, trying new outfits, doing something new every so often. So that is a feminine energy, is that of a change and flexibility. And a woman with wounded femininity won't be able to tolerate changes. She would be devastated if unexpected things happen. She might break things and throw tantrums or even get physically ill. She won't be able to deal with it. Everyone gets upset when unexpected things happen, and that's okay. We should be able to accept and move on. But it's not easy with a wounded femininity. It is a skill that can be developed, though, that knowing you are well equipped for this, inshallah. Ladies, this is why a healthy marriage, the foundation of it, is acceptance, is not tolerance. Because you are so flexible as a woman, you are able to accept the differences of your husband. You're able to accept the things that you don't seem ideal in him. You're flexible enough to accept that. And in Arabic, it's called ishtiwa. That you are able to make do with it. You're able to live with it. Wounded femininity would be the person who's tolerating, not accepting. So then there's always this resistance. She's just tolerating for a time being, hoping for it to change, or trying for it to change. So foundation of a healthy marriage is acceptance, not tolerance. The things you can't change in him, accept them and find a way to live with them. Right. Another skill is collaboration versus competition. Now, we said that men like high competition, the games, and all of that high stress, like short bursts of stress that make them feel highly productive. Men love that. But women are more collaborative. If you see the games of women, the ladies, girls, when they're young, what they play with, it is so much different than how boys play. Boys are generally fighting, but girls are usually playing dress up together, collaborative effort, prettying up her doll. One is putting a blanket on it, another one is putting a clip on it, whatever. So a collaboration. So if you are more collaborative if you want more cooperating with people around you, then you are more feminine. Another skill is soft communication and sweet talk. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَا تَخْضَعْنَ بِالْقَوْلِ. When you're outside, do not be soft in your speech. That means women's speech default is soft communication. Their default is soft. And if you have a wounded femininity, your default would be harsh communication, or you would have puns or sarcasm or taunting, or have this undertone of making fun of somebody or talking down to people. Very unattractive and non-feminine. If you are a person with high femininity, your speech would naturally be soft, and you would naturally be using sweeter words, addressing in endearing ways, talking in an endearing way. So this is another skill, which is the skill of soft communication. Another skill is conflict de-escalation. And this goes hand in hand with the coming skill, that is self-respect and boundaries. So we said conflict de-escalation, because women with high femininity or with healthy femininity, they are very skilled at listening and empathizing and understanding. And they approach a conversation with understanding, not with conflict. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَلَا تُجَادِلُوا. Do not engage in mujadala, do not engage in arguments. So when a conversation gets heated, a woman with healthy femininity would not just sit there and do nothing and let it keep getting escalated, and would lead to then her being disrespected or the like. So she would be masterful in conflict de-escalation, or deferring, or postponing, or just classily walking away from the conversation or ending it, because she would have catchphrases ready for that kind of situation, because she has her boundaries, and her catchphrases would be things like, let's talk about it later, or things like, let me attend to something and I'll come back to you. So things like that. She knows how she's going to get away from the situation where she is likely to be disrespected. She's not going to stay there and take the disrespect. She's not going to tolerate being belittled or being called a name or being yelled at. She will not let the situation get to the point that she is being yelled at. No, she is skillful at enacting her boundaries because she has self-respect. No self-respecting woman will just stay there and tolerate somebody yelling at her, calling her names. She would walk away. She would make her boundaries known. She would take away her presence. She would not engage in that conversation anymore. She's simply gone. Even if she physically can't get out at that point, she's just mentally gone, not engaging with the conversation at all. There's no back and forth. You disrespect me, class, I'm gone. Not that. The conversation ends there. Another skill that highly feminine ladies have is empathy and compassion. Empathy and compassion. As a matter of fact, one of the wives of Prophet ﷺ was known for this. Let me know if any of you knows her laqab. I will tell you the name. Her name is Zainab bint Jahash. She used to work and earn money to give in charity. Like, she used to work hard to give charity, to help the less fortunate. And this is a highly feminine trait and highly feminine skill, to have that level of empathy and compassion. Now, didn't we say that giving and giving is a masculine trait? But we said that there are different types of giving. There are different types of giving. And this giving of orphans, of needy, with empathy and compassion, that comes from nurturing. And that is a very feminine type of giving. But when it comes to man and a woman in marriage, then giving becomes very different, as we said. Let me see some of your comments here. How to accept if husband seems to be harsh and children misbehaving and shortcomings? So like I said, now to make it very easy for you to accept him, inshallah, I have done a whole session about it. And inshallah, if you check my live sessions, you will find that session. It is about accepting the differences in parenting, basically. And especially if the husband is being very harsh. And we said that if he is abusing the children, you can interfere with femininity. You can interfere with femininity. And that is the type of interfering that is submissive and cooperative rather than defying and challenging. You don't really have to tolerate that. So there needs to be conversations about it. There needs to be conversations about it, and you have to tell him how you feel about it. So there are things that can be done about husband being harsh, inshallah. He might change with time. I struggle really hard with flexibility. I have plans for the day. Is it too much to ask to respect these plans, like time for waking up and sleep for the children? Time I want him home for kids. Right. So, sister, if you struggle really hard with flexibility, that means you have a little bit of controlling tendencies. And controlling tendencies are not very feminine. So you said you have plans for the day. Is it too much to ask to respect these plans? No, it's not too much to ask to respect these plans. There needs to be general routine that everybody is following. However, I don't know to what extent your husband doesn't respect these plans. Obviously, if my husband is late from work and he's not even told me or anything, it's not just annoying. Like you said, you feel disrespected. Is it too much to ask that he respect these time and be on time? Now, sister, it is important for you to remember that while you can make plans, but you cannot control other people. You cannot. It is from masculinity to be reliable. For a woman to be able to lean on you. That's what meaning of qawwam is anyway. Is that you are like a support pillar for her, that she can lean on you. And if a man is very unreliable, if that's the nature of his work, then that's fine. But if he's just unreliable, being irresponsible, then that's not okay. Then a feminine woman would create boundaries. But inshallah, we can't get into too much in depth with that. Let's go back to empathy and compassion. And I asked the name of the wife of Prophet ﷺ, who was very nurturing, very highly feminine in a way that she was very nurturing and she would keep giving charity. And a sister said she was called Ummul Masakin. Barakallahu fiki. This is exactly what her laqab was. Barakallahu fikum. One last skill that I want to bring up, and then inshallah we were going to talk about the 3 conditions where a woman's masculinity should come out. So the last one is authenticity. The skill to be authentic. So an authentic woman, an authentic lady will not fake her reactions. She would not fake anything about her. She's not a copy of anyone. She knows herself well, her values, her likes, her dislikes, and she lives authentically. If her neighbors tell her how much they love biryani, for example, and everyone on the table agrees, she doesn't feel pressure to pretend that she likes it too, because she's authentic. She likes what she likes. She doesn't feel pressure to change those. She is in touch with her body, aware of her feelings. If she's feeling sad, she knows that she's sad. Ladies, you'd be surprised how many people don't even recognize their own emotions and what's causing them. So it's highly feminine, and healthy femininity would be in touch with your feelings and live your authentic life. That's why a lady with healthy femininity, who is authentic, would be much better at regulating her emotions and be much more charismatic, because she's not faking anything. She knows how she's feeling and what's causing it. She knows how to solve that problem and how to feel better again. So she's very charismatic. People like to be around her. A person with wounded femininity would often have a flaky personality. Like with these people, she's this way. With these people, she's this way. So she is trying to blend in at the expense of herself. She keeps changing like a pendulum. She doesn't know who she is. And that is not feminine. A person with healthy femininity would be genuine in their reactions, in the way they show appreciation, for example, gratitude to husband. So if he brings home something nice, like flowers for her. So a woman with healthy femininity would always be happy, obviously, which you always grateful, content. She would say nice things to him. These are lovely. But if she doesn't really like flowers, or she doesn't love flowers, but she really likes maybe receiving cards with meaningful words on them, she likes that better. She's not going to be giving a very enthusiastic reaction about flowers. When she is going to be appreciative, she's not going to be that overly enthusiastic about it. Because then what happens is the husband thinks, she is just all about flowers. I found it. I found what makes her happy. That's the only thing I'm going to be doing from now on for the rest of my life. He's not going to be trying to get any better reaction from you because he's just like, okay, this one is all about flowers. But with genuine femininity, you would be happy, but you would not be overly excited because flowers don't generally overly excite you. So then you would wait till this, like one day he gives you a card, or maybe you would say to him, they say, I really love receiving cards from you with thoughtful words on it. I mean, obviously not on the same time he's giving you flowers, because then that would be like a bit dismissive that, why did you do this? You should have done this. No, we're not going to do that. But on a different occasion, you say to him that how much you love cards with nice words on them. And then he gives you that. Then you show genuine enthusiasm. Oh, I love it. You read it for him and you react to it. But if your love language is more of expensive gifts, if he brings you a gold necklace, for example, then you are really going to be like over the moon excited. And if that's your love language, if that's what you really desire, you're going to show genuine enthusiasm because that's what you want to keep receiving. So you have to be smart with how you show your appreciation. So a woman with high femininity would be really authentic with her reactions, with how she feels, with her values. All right, let's go to when should this 20% of masculinity come out in women? Now we said that there are 3 key times when this should come out. A sister said something about self-defense. Barakallahu fiki. That was a good. Can anybody else volunteer anything? Like, where should this 20% of masculinity come out? Like, why do we even have any masculinity at all in us? Where should it come out? While you are responding to that, let me just read some comments. Can a woman who used to feel very feminine and wanted to submit to her husband get her femininity wounded because of the continuous neglect from her partner? Is it same as feeling worthless? Yes, my dear. Barakallahu fiki. If a woman's partner is continuously unappreciative, that does make her feel less worthy. And that could lead to her feeling less feminine, and her femininity could start getting wounded living that kind of relationship. So those dynamics, they need to change. They need to change. Now, first of all, if a person's partner starts ignoring them and neglecting them, it's really different if he was like that since the beginning of the marriage, or is it some recent development that happened? If he was like that from the beginning of the marriage, we know that maybe he wasn't invested in the marriage in the first place. So then staying in that marriage is not wise. But if it developed later on, then what have you done as a woman to make him feel that treating you like that is okay? You see, if somebody mistreats you, that could indicate that you didn't do a good job with your boundaries when it mattered the most, like in the beginning of the relationship, or when the behavior first appeared, that you kept accepting and kept tolerating, kept pretending that everything was okay. Remember, we said the silent woman equates to content woman to the husband. So the first few times she's not said anything, then he got used to it now. He wouldn't be changing it that easily. So then you have to reevaluate yourself. Okay, what am I doing that's making me feel it's okay to not be home, to keep neglecting me? And one of the things that you can do is to bring the mystery and the depth back to your life, is to have your own life, your own passions, inshallah. And when men see that their women really enjoying lives even without them, then they often want to be part of it. All right, so we got responses to when should that 20% of masculinity come out in women. A sister said, when we talk to non-mahrams, barakallahu fiki, barakallahu fiki, or dealing with them. Excellent. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Quran, وَلَا تَخْضَعْنَ بِالْقَوْلِ فَيَطْمَعَ الَّذِي فِي قَلْبِهِ مَرَضٍ. So, the presence of non-maharim. She needs to mask her natural softness. Now, ladies, doesn't mean to be like extra harsh or be rude or anything like that. It just means that you should be very formal, matter of fact. And you should make sure that your voice is falling flat, doesn't have the natural softness and ups and downs. Matter of fact, to the point, no laughter. Because the laughter indicates to the person in front automatically, I am really enjoying your company and I'm really into this conversation and stuff like that. Anyway, so presence of non-mahram. Another person said, in the time of emergency, barakallahu fikum. You ladies are so insightful, mashallah, barakallahu fikum. Yes, in a time of emergencies. So, for example, your child is falling down. Femininity is about stillness, but in that moment, you're going to be super fast, as fast as possible to catch them, to protect them. Or another sister said, self-defense. So those are the kind of things in emergency situations, like the fire happened or somewhere, you are going to be really fast because you have that 20% of masculinity in you. And then the third thing is when you can be masculine, when you have no male present to lean on, to support. Just for the sake of example, like you're in the airport and you need to rush and carry luggage and do everything. If your husband is not around, maybe he's delayed, he's in the car, he's coming or whatever. So in that situation, there's no man around you to lean on. It's okay for you to be masculine, do everything a man would do. High energy and everything. So no man is around and you're at home and you have to lift something heavy or lift furniture or whatever. Be careful for your back and don't destroy your back. But if no man is around, it doesn't harm you to do whatever needs to be done. It doesn't harm you. But don't do that when your husband is home. Don't try to lift heavy things when your husband is home, in his presence. You just relax and be yourself. Be a feminine woman. And let him do all the heavy lifting. Let him do all the rushing and all of that kind of stuff. Checking out emergencies, for example. You're both in the bed and a loud sound came. Don't rush to it. You are in the presence of your husband. Let him do the checking. So those are the three things, inshallah, where you'll let your 20% of masculinity come out, when no man is present, or when it's an emergency, or in the presence of non-maharim. All right, we have come to the conclusion of our session, and we have talked about many skills that as a woman you should have and you should work on. And what does it look like to not have those skills, and if your femininity is wounded in the process of growing up? So we talked about how a feminine lady would be authentic, empathetic, and compassionate. She would have boundaries, self-respect. She would have conflict de-escalation skills, and she would have the skill of sweet talk and soft communication. She would be collaborative and not competitive. She would be flexible, supportive. She wouldn't take the lead. She would be reactive. She would react to her husband. Reaction as in like responsive. Not reactive in a negative way, but responsive to her husband. And she would have privacy and depth. And she would have intuition, gut feelings. She would have stillness and receptivity. So those are all the things that we've covered in this session. And inshallah, ladies, please make sure to turn the notification bell on, because soon I'm going to be doing, inshallah, marriage bootcamp. And I will announce it on my channel Al-Qawarir. And if you are already subscribed and you have turned the notification bell on, then you will receive for the first 24 hours a very special prize to enroll in it. And if you missed it, then you missed it. So I wouldn't want you to miss it, inshallah. Make sure to subscribe and turn the notification bell on. How to leave an escalating argument and not give the message of shutting down. So this you can do by having nice phrases, by saying things like, let's cool down and come back. Or by saying things like, I need to take a break. And let's circle back to it when we are both calm. So having that kind of phrases is really helpful for him as well to realize, okay, we are getting heated here. And my wife has boundaries. She's not going to engage in a conversation with me if I'm heated, if I am yelling. So she has boundaries. So therefore, he would be more cautious next time talking to you as well. If he wants the conversation to keep going, that he shouldn't raise his voice. We have a question. How to set strong, firm boundaries with gentleness and femininity. So it's just like I said, and it only depends on the situation. So in the situation of argument, I gave you the example of how she would say, just let's take a break and come back. How to be in touch with your feelings. I don't know what my feelings are and what causes them. So how to be in touch with feelings. Now I can give you a very golden tip. It really works, and it is to journal. So when you're feeling a certain way and you know you have a strong feeling, just take a journal, start writing down. Start writing what the possible feeling you might be feeling, what emotions are coming up, what are you feeling in your body, where are you feeling these feelings. The more you explore your feelings, the more you become in touch with them. Also might be helpful to watch videos on feelings, like what certain feelings feel like, what they look like, and why they happen. So that kind of thing, the more knowledge you have about feelings and the more you think in your brain and you explore in your brain how you're feeling, in your body how you're feeling, inshallah, the more in touch with your feelings you will become. Okay, what to do when husband does not initiate intimacy at night, but only during day? He wants wife to lead at night. He thinks wife is tired. From what I understand, that the husband only has intimacy during the day, doesn't initiate it at night because he is very considerate that his wife might be tired. I find it very endearing. It's okay for wives to initiate at night. That's fine. It's okay. That there's nothing wrong with that. If wife has that need, she could signal. She doesn't have to be really direct about it. So what she can do is she can wear pretty clothes, a certain perfume to signal to him that she wants to have some intimacy. So then if husband gets a clear signal like that, then inshallah, he will be much more willing to initiate. How to accept a gamer husband that has a habit of wasting his free time. I understand, sister, that is very annoying. That you see him and that he could be spending his time in better ways, and you might want him to be more present with you. But the game is like an addiction to men because it makes them feel masculine. So then what are the alternatives of the game that is going to make him masculine at home? Have you got an environment that would make him feel masculine? Have you got challenges for him? Do you call him to help you in a vulnerable way where you need his help lifting stuff up, or you need his help with certain things? Generally, gaming is fine as long as it does not affect his responsibility. So he's taking care of his responsibilities. He's praying on time. He is involved with kids, and he's fulfilling your needs as well. Then I say, let him be, because you can't really change him. And if you try to change him, he's just going to breed resentment, and it's not going to bring anything nice about it. But if you accept him, try to get him a little bit more involved. But I would also say that to a certain extent, let him be, inshallah, because you can't change people. And if you try to control that is not going to end happily. The change really needs to come from inside, sister. The change needs to come from inside. So unless he has a change on the inside that he wants to stop the gaming, then it's not going to happen. Is there a Telegram channel, please? And how does one join the community? Sister, I do not at the moment have a Telegram channel. We are on Instagram and TikTok. You can find Al-Qawarir there. But if you want to join the WhatsApp community where most of the juicy discussions happen, then you can find the link of that in the description of this video. Barakallahu feekum. All right, sisters, it has been so lovely being in this live with you, and inshallah we'll meet again soon. Barakallahu feekum for joining. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.